4 years ago, I was desperately wanting to be an RA. And I was scrolling the job website looking, I think, for the RA job, and also just for fun. And I saw this job for a marketing and outreach coordinator in the AS. And I remember saying to my mom, I was like, that job looks so cool. But like, I don't think I'm qualified for it. And she was like, it can't hurt. Like, just apply, see what happens. Which is how I ended up sitting in the Gamma Ridgeway Lounge at 9:30 a.m. on a weekday, praying that like nobody was going to walk in and see me waiting for the Zoom call to open up with all of my notes in my lap and my pen and everything. I had some ideas about what the AS was from attending, events on campus. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I remembered seeing these videos of these students, which I definitely thought it was a club. They were, asking people what their favorite song was, or like what they're listening to, or what their star sign was, or trying like vegan food on campus. And I thought it was cool, but I was like, I don't really know how you get involved with that. And I definitely probably thought it was part of the journalism department, to be completely honest. So I was like, that's not me. But then that Zoom call connected, and there sat three girls that I had definitely seen on video and watched their videos. That was the first time I ever met Abby, Shayna, and Sophia, who I worked with for some of them years, which is absolutely crazy. I also met Casey that day, who I still see to this day, have meetings with, see in the hallway. The first thing I believe I said, although I can't exactly remember, the first thing I said was hi, but I think I also shyly mentioned that I recognized them from their videos, which I also do remember being upset about saying because I thought it was unprofessional. Yeah, but I didn't sit there and think this is like going to be college for me. At no point in that interview did it pass through my mind like this is a defining moment, like this is something that I'm going to remember and will be with me through the next 4 years. I was just like, oh, this is a job. It's a cool job too, which is great. Works out, awesome. And I also was thinking like I have a lot of ideas actually, and I think it would be really cool. And they seem cool, and this is a cool job, and like this is awesome. But no part of me was like, yeah, this will be 4 years of my life and will become like a defining part of my life. Social media has always been a conversation in my life as part of the first generation of, people who had it or have had access to it like almost our entire lives. Comes with questions of like safety and use and things, which are still talked about today. And I don't know if they'll ever stop being talked about, honestly. But I remember my first knowledge of social media being really, really into my mom's Facebook because I could play Farmville on it. And then in middle school, I wanted Snapchat because I thought that it was how I stayed connected with my friends. And I just wanted to be a part of that community. Now it's very different, my relationship with social media, because my job also lives on those apps. So, I've had to get better at knowing when to read it and be on it and when not to, and have boundaries with it, which I'm actually really grateful for because I don't like being on my phone that much. In 2019, I very reluctantly downloaded TikTok. I was scared of it, frankly. But I became very quickly enamored with it and the endless possibility of things that could be done on it. I was always interested in the idea of being famous, especially when I was a kid. That's vain, I'm aware. I had seen, especially in like middle school, these like YouTubers who were becoming famous for showing their lives, which now I know like that's a tailored version of their life. but I think what got me about them was that they were becoming famous for documenting what I thought was their lives. And so maybe more than being famous, I just wanted to, document my life. I had a pink iPod, which I would take videos on and do voice recordings on. I'm obsessed with it. And I loved to document things. I loved to, take photos, and it was just weird stuff too. It wasn't anything special. It was like mundane things. It was just life. It was like I would record me talking in the backseat of the car, or the road, or like a park, or, my backyard. It wasn't anything special, but it was the documentation that was the part about it that I liked. And even into COVID, I continued to document my life with video diaries. I found that I wanted to, record things somehow, but I didn't do very well with a actual diary. But I did great when I sat down and I propped my phone up and I just let myself talk. Now, maybe that says something about me liking to talk, but I also think it says something about me liking to document.
In a way, Instagram is really just a digital scrapbook. At least that's how it is for my personal social media. But now in 2026, almost everybody has some form of social media, whether, Instagram, TikTok, or if it's minuscule and you're barely on social media, somewhere out there, you have a presence online. But not everyone can say that their entire college experience can be seen through social media. Anyone can publicly view my college experience through the years online. When starting out Wavelength 4 years ago, I just jumped right into it and started making what I lovingly call my silly little videos.
Miss, being bad never looked so good.
I'm in a crisis right now.
Oh, I'm in a crisis too. Getting too famous.
Would you slap a coworker for $25,000? It ain't about the money.
That means every haircut I've got, hundreds of outfits I have worn, days I wanted to make those videos, days I didn't want to make those videos. I view them, everyone can view them. I've heard from, coworkers before that they've heard people refer to me on campus as like TikTok girl or Lily from Wavelength. Every so often, also, someone gives me this look that I definitely know by now. And says something like, I feel like I know you from somewhere. In the beginning, it was definitely a boost to my ego. It was fun and something that me and all the staff would joke about. But though I still find it funny, as the end of my time at Wavelength draws near, I often think about like what this means for the future and the rest of my life. I'm definitely very conscientious and aware that the internet sort of lasts forever. And someday, in the far future, I will have kids, and those kids one day might find those videos, and they'll come to me and they'll be like, oh my gosh, what is this? And I'll have to explain, which proudly I will explain because I'm funny in them sometimes. But it's kind of crazy to think that they'll be able to scroll through all of college. They'll have a slew, a pick of videos that they could watch of me. They can hear my voice. They can see me, change throughout the years. They'll be able to see every single college bedroom I've had from every single angle. It's quite a digital footprint, honestly. For now, I think this aspect of my college experience is really cool. I don't see it as a burden. I've never seen it as a burden. I knew what I was getting into. I understood at least a little bit what the idea was. Wavelength didn't give me like the fame that a young Lily really desperately kind of wanted. But instead, I've been given a time capsule of all of college. And I think that's a really awesome thing. It's really cool. And it's an interesting thing because I know there are other people who also might, you know, have something similar that they've been doing on purpose. I didn't really put it together until about 3 months ago when I was watching back through and I was like, wow, you could really just look at all of these, can't you? I'll be able to look back on so many moments that I might have otherwise forgotten. I'll be able to think back to specific days and to what was happening in my life at that point. So that being said, I'm really grateful for 4 years ago when I awkwardly sat at a table all alone in the Viking Union NPR. I was shaking with anxiety simply because I was about to meet some coworkers and make them recreate sounds for my first silly little video. What's up? We're gonna try to recreate noises today. First, duct tape. 3. Ooh. 3.